What's up, traders? Trade recap coming in today. If you would like to come along on this journey and watch me on my way to becoming a profitable trader, subscribe and like this video, and let's learn and grow together. So today, coming into the open, just to kind of let you know my thought process, I was looking for shorts when I woke up this morning, and the reason being, after the close last night, there was a big run up with earnings, and then overnight there was the tariff news, and it just like skyrocketed up like 300 points, 400 points, something like that, crazy. And then early this morning, it started to trend down. So it hit this big resistance area at like 860-ish and was starting to come down. By the time I got to my computer, when I had this Asia level marked, it had tested it a couple times, ran up, tested it once more here, and then got kind of weak and started to drop down. So that's where I took my first short. It was below VWAP. It dropped below that Asia low. And like I said, it was kind of just looking weak. I drew this trend line here. There was a good bounce and a pretty strong high volume sell-off. So that's where I entered the short. I was targeting the London low, but I actually was trailing my stop loss pretty closely and got stopped out here. So that was my first trade, was a 65-point trade. Second one was a loss. So I didn't tell you overall. I took 5 trades today. 3 were wins and 2 were losses. So this loss number 2 was, in hindsight, a bad trade. I shouldn't have taken it. It was at about 7:30, kind of getting into market open. News had just been released, which didn't affect the market a whole lot, but kind of just a volatile, bad trade area. So my thought process, again, below VWAP, trend line, strong bearish reaction, and was looking for a short to get down to the bottom of this high volume range that I set up. But really, I don't have enough confluences to say that why I took that trade. So shouldn't have taken that trade. I cleared my head though, and coming into market open, I'm actually really proud of how I traded the open because I stayed patient. This was the opening candle right here, and if you guys were watching the open, it just dumped. And a lot of times I'll have FOMO and like kind of just want to buy in and then get chopped out and take some losses. So I actually didn't enter my first trade until 8:56, so it was 26 minutes into the open, which was really good for me. So this was a great trade. I feel really good about this one. This was a 15-minute low. The 15-minute range had set. It broke out, but it was a fake out. Retested the New York anchored VWAP and had a strong bearish reaction. So that's where I entered short there and put my stop loss at that high, and then just rode it all the way down to that big psychological level of 21,400. So that was a 133-point trade. That was a really good trade. So locked up my profit on one account there. Second trade, I actually don't feel bad about this loss. I feel like it was pretty good. Although it came up to the 15-minute opening range low and rejected. But my thought process here, and the reason I took it, was it got above the New York anchored VWAP, which is this blue line here, and it retested and started to move back up. So if you zoom in here, like in the moment, this strong bearish like wick right there on the 1 minute, and then another 1 minute candle above, and there was decent volume. Like that's why I decided to take a long and target the previous day high, or at least that previous high over there, but obviously got stopped out, so lost there. And then my last trade for the day, this was another pretty good one that I feel good about. So this was the previous day low. Also a confluence in line with a high volume area that I had marked off with this gray shaded area. Strong reaction. I did take a small position here. The reason I only took a small position, even though it was like a really good level and a strong reaction, we had been just dumping hard all day, and I've had trouble in the past with trying to catch a falling knife and like long the bottom, and then of course getting stopped out and like losing my account because of that. So I didn't want to be stupid with it. So I took a small position off of that first reaction. And then once we got back above the initial balance low, and retested and started to head back up, I took another small position about here. So that's why my average is here. My first entry was probably closer to there, and then I took another entry up here. So my average was about there. And then on this one, I was trailing super closely because, with a bearish day, it could have just reversed and continued lower. And I was just targeting the anchored VWAP right there, which actually ended up getting out a little bit early because of that previous level there, and it worked out nicely. So that was my last trade. Locked up my account, and I was done by before noon, before lunchtime, my time. Just trying to take what the market gives me and not be too greedy with my accounts and overtrade. So it felt good to only take a smaller amount of trades for my standards. I know I've been taking a lot more lately, and just feeling like I was reading the market well today and being patient with my trade. So felt good to kind of get back into the groove after a couple days of frustration. And that was my trade recap. Thanks, you guys.